Shut up and sit down.
Welcome to the Health and Wealth Podcast with your hosts, Tim and Carter.
What's trending, Enrichers? Carter Wilcoxon, founder of CSI Financial Group here, with my co-host and former wealth advisor, Tim James, founder of
ChemicalFreeBody.com and your new health advisor. This is the show where we reveal the connection between physical and financial abundance.
Hey, welcome back, Enrichers. Carter Wilcoxon coming to you again on another episode of the Health and Wealth Podcast Show. Thank you very much for joining us. And as always, I am joined by my spectacular and great buddy. We were just talking before pre-show. We've known each other almost 2 years now. It's crazy. Mr. Chemical Free Body himself, Tim James. Timmy, how are you, my man?
Hey, dude, I'm doing good. I don't know if you can tell, but my energy's up quite a bit from yesterday because we had a long weekend, late nights, and I was actually playing. We played like maybe three or four gigs for Chief Joseph. There's a town called Joseph, Oregon, and then I think it's the smallest PRCA televised rodeo in the world, something like that. Used to be when I was a kid. And then like 10,000 people come into this town of 5,000. It's just like packed. So we got to play guitars. That was a lot of fun.
Nice.
So, up late, up till 2 a.m, playing at bars. It's crazy. That's not good for health, just so you know, but it was good for following my highest excitement. But I did try to sleep in, except for people were packing up, making a bunch of noise on Sunday. So I slept until about 6:30, but 4.5 hours sleep. Not something you want to do for health all the time. And late nights and your immune system drops. That's why people get sick in the fall. So there's a little preempt on the Health and Wealth show for the health side.
Nice.
To get people dialed in.
Yeah, let's dial them in. And, what I was going to say is one thing you taught me is, a little bit of a hangover recovery or whatever. Green 85 first thing in the morning does the trick, man. Does the trick every single time. Not that I don't take it every single morning, but it's like, okay, I did take that first thing. I'm like,
right. And not that we advocate drinking, but, thinking that the planet's just going to stop drinking overnight is probably not going to happen ever. But so one thing that's really smart, if for the listeners, if you guys don't know this, is just always having activated charcoal with you. You can get some activated charcoal tablets or capsules. And these can actually save your life. Anytime you get poisoned or food poisoning or anything, you just take charcoal and it's just like a magnet. It goes in there and sucks everything up and takes it out of the body. So if you're out drinking and you feel like, whoa, I went too much, take a couple charcoals and that'll help out. And then before you go to bed at night, drink a glass of water with Green 85 in it and do it again in the morning. And by 9 a.m., you should probably be hangover free.
Well, good to know. Good to know. Well, we want to go ahead and Enrichers, we are in for a treat today. Very excited. Of course, Tim doesn't necessarily know exactly why I'm so excited because you just got a chance to meet Joshua Aldus of Octavia Wealth Advisors. Am I saying that right, Josh?
Yes, you are. On point.
Or Joshua. So Joshua Aldus coming in from nice, perfect temperature almost all year round, San Diego, California.
Yeah. It's one place I never thought I'd end up. I grew up in Maine, so literally all the way across the country, and I couldn't be more grateful every day.
Yeah. Well, the Enrichers are in for a treat. We're going to get a chance to have you take us back, where you started in Maine, more than likely, I would assume for sure. So, I just wanted to make sure that, Octavia, that's the advisory firm that you work with there in San Diego, correct? Correct, Joshua?
Yes. Octavia is the RIA that I'm a part of.
All right. Perfect. Well, we'll sit back, Enrichers, and enjoy that passion in that direction originally to come into the financial services business.
Yeah. Perfect. I can remember specifically when it was. It was in San Diego. I was going to UCSD at the time. I was in my first semester as a UCSD or as a chemistry major. And I was kind of newer to San Diego. I was really, I enjoyed being out in the sun. There was all stuff going around. I was freshly out of the Navy. And the chemistry playing out over in UCSD was a heavy load. So it required a lot of time in the lab, a lot of studying. I was like, man, this is going to be a trip. I won't even be able to enjoy San Diego as much. But at the same time, as I was going to school, my sister also lived in San Diego, and she introduced me to her boyfriend, now husband. And he was an advisor with Equitable Advisors, and he worked downtown San Diego. And so one time I met him down at his office, and immediately he reminded me of some of the few good officers I worked with in the military. So, and that really hit hard, because I did 3 tours, and each time we had a new set of officers come in, and each time a new set of officers, they all had their own schooling. A lot of them are younger, and a lot of them, thought that they knew it all. They knew it all. They weren't taking advice from those who had been there. But there were a few good officers that you noticed that talked to people, that asked questions to the enlisted people. Hey, win it. And so seeing those characteristics, I was like, wow, cool. And then knowing that his income was driven by his effort, which was huge for me. There was no salary cap, and he had free time. I was like, wow, this sounds wonderful.
Where do I sign up?
And yeah, exactly. And that was one thing I was struggling with, because I was going to UCSD as a chemistry major with the plan of going to the FBI. And I was just saying, do I want to give my life, give my service to the government again? For how long? And so, after meeting him, I changed my major, I think the following week, to economics. And at my senior year, I had an internship with Equitable Advisors, and then he was able to get me a job right out of college down here in the San Diego office. And that's how I started as a financial advisor.
Wow, that's pretty cool backstory on how you got here and everything. What I also want to know then is, how did you get from Maine to San Diego?
Yeah, it's great. I remember as a kid, I used to watch California movies. I was like, oh, wow, that's so cool. That'd be so great to be there. But I didn't think too much about it, because my family actually has been in Waldo County, Maine since the 1600s. And so not a lot of people move. But I would, one of the leaders in my life and role models is my older sister. I'm one of 8. And she was the first one to move down to New Orleans. When she was down there, she used to fly me and my brother down when we were like 14, showing us the world at the time. When that happened, I was 16 years old. And so I started training. I was like, oh, I'm going to be a Navy SEAL. That's what I'll do. So I started training. And I would say I've been in athletic my whole life. I was in sports my whole life. And then I think this was the time in high school when I first started actually working out for a purpose. And so after I graduated, I drove right to the recruiter office and signed up for the Navy. And then 6 months later, I was in Coronado, and I went to Buds. And so Buds was probably the biggest lesson of my life, because everything had come easy. I was a really good athlete. I was a really good student. Mentally, I didn't have any trouble, like things I had to persevere through. And so going to Buds, that put me it put a doubt in my head, and it was the hardest thing I've ever done. And I ended up ringing the bell, which, if anyone knows too much about SEAL training, and Tim, I'm sure you know, is, that's a pretty demoralizing thing to do at the time, when you're not in there. But, looking back, it was, the greatest lesson of my life of, it really comes down to your mental strength. It's kind of been a factor in my habits now to make sure I have mental resilience, because it all comes down to how strong your mind is in a way. So after that, I got stationed out in Virginia with the riverine units. We worked on small boats, and I spent all 5 years out in Virginia. When I was done with enlisting, I was going to move back to Maine. My sister was like, I'm in San Diego. You're just going to go to school anyway. Come out here. You'll love it.
Wow. That's pretty crazy. So was it the same sister that was in New Orleans that said, come out to California too?
Yep. She's been she's been the kind of the director in my life, not like telling me where to go, but just giving me options, always being like, hey, you might like this. Or she knows me pretty well. I mean, she took care of me my whole life, in a way, like she was a second mom to me. And so she's always been driven. And like right now, she's a sales rep at Oracle up in San Fran. So she's like, I really, I cherish time with her because I always learn from her perspective. And she's got this drive it's not matched by a lot of people. So it's really cool having her in my life.
That is, and she's the oldest also?
She's the oldest of 8. Yeah.
Okay. And then where do you fit in the number then?
I fit in right 4. I'm at number 4.
So you're a middle child, basically.
Essentially, I would say, like, because my mom got remarried. So I was I like to say the baby of the first litter. And so
Okay.
I got to be the youngest for a while. And then my mom got remarried. They had 4 more. And then I would kind of get to be the oldest. So I got to kind of play both roles, which was pretty
That's cool.
nice.
That is cool. I don't think I've ever heard anything like that before. Although, interestingly enough, I guess my grandmother, she had, I want to say it was 9 or 10, something like that. And then, but I think it was like the first 7 were with my grandfather from my dad. And then she remarried. She had 2 others after that. So not exactly the same, but to be like 4 and 4, like Brady Bunch style, right? But but they're all your brothers and sisters. I mean, they're half. They're not step. It's a little bit pretty unique. I've never heard that. That I remember.
Huh.
That's actually really cool. So you so growing up in Maine, then what type of sports did you play there? Because I don't really know exactly what the climate is there, but I can tell you that my business partner goes to Maine every July for his sailing trip with family or whatever. So I know that there's, at least warm enough to be on the water for sailing or whatever. But so what were the types of, athletics that you were playing or doing growing up?
I mean, starting out as a small kid, I mean, usually we started out with basketball at the Y, and then you start out with Pee Wee football. And those are kind of my 2 jams up until high school. And then, because, wintertime comes around, so you go inside. There's all the snow. That's why basketball. I mean, our school was too small for a hockey team. I think I would have done really well as a hockey player, being in Maine, but our school was pretty small. But then I really found a good combination of football in the wintertime or in the fall time. I stopped playing basketball, and then I played tennis in the springtime. And it was really great because as a football, you have to work as a team. You can't do it all on your own. I was a tailback. Give me the ball. Let me run. But if your linemen, they don't block, you're not going anywhere. And so, your victory's relying on the unit. And it was great to learn that teamwork. But then that's when I loved tennis. Because once I played tennis, you're singles. It's all on you. There's no one else you can blame. And I just loved the quick action. So it was a pretty good combination up until I graduated high school.
Well, then Tim's going to love this. So when did you get into the golf gig then? Another individual sport. You've got the picture of, Torrey Pines right behind
Torrey
you.
Pines.
So obviously, now in Richards, if you're just listening to this, it's a great picture. Coastline, Torrey Pines, looks amazing. When did you start getting into golf then?
In San Diego, called Sea and Air, and it's like right up against the beach, like the back 9. It's amazing. So 2007 I started playing, and it's nice now because I never knew I'd be in a job that kind of goes with golfing in a way. A lot of people, especially in the finance world, a lot of guys like golf. You can have a good time to be able to chat with someone, get a lot of information, get to know that person and stuff, and you get to be outside where you get most of your energy from.
Yeah. Well, I love that, right? I mean, I moved out here from Kansas City, where same thing. And that now one of my indoor sports was bowling because, it's really cold and I wasn't the healthiest back then. So, Thursday night men's league, drinking and bowling, but then I found golf and, golf.
That's not healthy.
I know. Found
Except
golf.
for the camaraderie. That's healthy.
Camaraderie.
Yeah, for sure.
That's definitely healthy.
Yeah. But golf is it's one of those great sports. You're exactly right. You're outside. It's almost a religious experience, for me, and it was, early on, and then now my kids play and my wife plays, so it's a family affair now. So it's pretty awesome. But so then, did you how often do you get back to Maine? Are your folks and family still all back there? Is it just you and your sister, or did more siblings kind of sort of take that under advisement and move west?
Man, we've tried to get them to move west. Right now, it's just me and my sister over here, and the rest of the family is back in Maine. And so I get back, in the past, once every 2 years. But we're going back. We got a trip planned in September, which we're really excited about. And so I foresee going back, more regularly. And it's part of the plan. Me and my sister always talk about we're going to look for a lake house to eventually have in Maine, so we can have all the family go and we can go back regularly and everyone has a place to stay. So, it's got a special place in my heart. I'll never move back, but it will be great for visits.
Well, kind of tough to, it's kind of, I mean, I can't even imagine. I mean, I moved out here to Phoenix from Kansas City, and I couldn't imagine living anywhere else once I've lived here. Right. But going back to Maine, I mean, of course, I can't even picture that because it's so far away from me. I'm a Midwesterner, right? So that's, Northeast, way away from me. But Southwest is, my gig now. And
that's because of the weather and golf. Let's just be honest.
Yeah,
he can golf all year long.
Yeah.
That's why he's there.
It's pretty awesome. I can't wait to have Josh out here to Phoenix so I can play some golf. And I'm going to come out to I'm actually in Huntington Beach in September. Maybe I'll try to swing out there. We'll go tee it up or something. That
would be great. Yeah, 100%. And we gotta live where we can do the hobbies that make us the happiest.
Yes.
Talks
about it all the time.
Totally true. Well, good first segment, guys. We're gonna take a quick break. When we get back, we're gonna talk about what Joshua is up to. You got it right. You can call him Josh, or if you're old school, you know him. But if you're new, it's Joshua. We'll be right back.
Estate planning. What does that even mean? When the inevitable happens for everyone on this planet, your estate plan kicks into action. But first, let's start with what an estate is. An estate is simply everything you own. Now, here's the issue and what needs to be understood when this event occurs. You only have two choices on this plan. Number one, either you plan how your estate gets handed out and distributed to those you leave behind. Or number two, your state decides who gets everything you own. For the first time ever, you can now take complete and total control of this plan that you've been deprived of for most of your life and generations before you. You can get personalized assistance along the way with a team of specialists whose job it is to make sure you have true peace of mind. It's important to understand that estate planning is a journey, and rest assured that our team will be available to you all along the way and at every step. Welcome to eState Plan, home of the last estate plan you'll ever need. To learn more, make sure to reach out to your local advisor licensed with us or go to our website for more information.
What's up, Enrichers? Tim James here. I'm back with my co-host Carter Wilcoxon. Today in the house, we've got Joshua Aldus. He's out of San Diego area, financial advisor, wealth manager. So, Joshua, your backstory is cool. I really appreciate that you were in the military and the service, because I know, when somebody wants to get into the military, they're doing for the right reasons. Unfortunately, when they get in there, a lot of times, then they start finding out. Like for me, it's just like, I don't like it when you have to get, forced to take jabs and anthrax shots. And you guys deal with a lot of stuff. I mean, if you were deployed, you were probably around a lot of burning garbage, and you eat those MREs, and they're terrible food, right? So you pay the price physically, emotionally, and spiritually. And we were talking about that earlier. So I just wanted to honor you for your service, because you did it for the right reasons. And now you're taking, the commitment that you made to our country and the disciplines that you learned, and also back into your sports careers as a child and a young adult, and now you're putting that into that discipline and that service into your clients as a wealth advisor. So why don't you just tell us a little bit about what you do that's unique for the people that you serve today?
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. I take a lot of the experiences that I had in the military. You can choose from everything you went through, but the ones that gave me the most lessons about discipline, working together as a team, being mentally resilient. So it's nice being able to apply those to my career now. And I think a lot of it has to do with, especially the discipline and building habits. I'm a real, it's something I bring up a lot with my clients, building habits, and even in my own life, thinking of that, a lot of us have so many ideas, so many things we want to create. And yet, we have habits that dictate different actions. They dictate different ways of thinking, different thoughts, and now I'd say like a common conversation that I have with my clients or those that want to build wealth is, are you willing to, establish wealth building habits? Are you willing to put energy into changing how you think about wealth or how you feel about wealth and the actions behind that? And so, it's great. It gets exciting when clients do come on and they're like, yes, let's change some habits. And then they say the words, you're like, okay, let's see the action behind it. And then they take the actions. And then once the actions start coming, start taking the actions, then you start seeing the results from that. And that's the exciting part. But like all things, it takes a little bit of time. Now, our firm, Octavia Wealth Advisors, it's an RIA, and it's the perfect place for me. I'm so grateful to be a part of this firm now because we have access to every wealth building tool there is. When I first started out, I started at AXA Advisors, which is now Equitable Advisors. And even though they were a great company, they were focused more on life insurance and annuities. And the tools they had to really build wealth or brokerage was very small, a small section. And so as I learned a lot of my knowledge about wealth advising and financial advising in the beginning, I knew that I would have to move on to a different structure eventually if I really wanted to start helping clients grow wealth. Because kind of the way the difference I view is the tools that you have. If you're only able to have access to the public market, then that's all the tools you have. It's like building a house. If you only have a hammer, that's what you're going to work with. Mm-hmm. But then if you get to a place that has private market and public market investments, well, now all of a sudden you're building a house with a nail gun, and it's going a lot faster and it's a lot more efficient. And so that was one of the reasons why I was so grateful to be here. And that transition kind of happened. Our firm was a small group inside of Equitable Advisors, and they all had the vision. They really wanted to help clients build wealth in a different way with all those tools. We have a team that manages our clients' portfolios, does all the due diligence on all the investments that we have. And at the end of the day, when it comes to being a really good advisor, one, communication is like my forefront. Like when I go home at work, I'm trying to learn how to communicate better. If I got to deliver information some way, I need to make sure I can deliver it in a way that doesn't set off their fight or flight, right? That we're able to stay in our parasympathetic nervous system, stay calm, be able to see the plan. So communication is a big portion, but time on learning investments as well. That takes a lot. All the information is out there nowadays. If someone wants to build wealth, they can go ahead and go do it, learn how to do it, but that takes so much time. And then if you're not an expert, you question yourself. And then that question always just stays there. And then that eats away at your energy. And now you're not even enjoying the dinner that you have with your wife because you're thinking about that investment you made today. And you're like, God, so that's, why I'm really grateful with how the partner structure of our firm is that our investment team is great. They do so much research day in, day out, making sure that our advisors, we have the tools for our clients. So then the fun part starts. When I know I have all the tools, then I just get to the client and like, hey, let's draw the blueprint. What do you want to create? And so, essentially, once I have a new client come on, it's about the conversation. I mean, I think, Carter, you've mentioned before, like, if you're an advisor, you got to know you're in the relationship business.
Yeah.
You know, and you gotta be able and giving advice, not telling clients what to do, but give them the right information, or the information that they are able to be like, oh, that makes sense. I can follow a line. I feel good. I feel comfortable. Because at the end of the day, I don't want to have a plan where clients don't feel safe. They don't feel like there's a plan in place, you know, especially at times like this. You know, I mean, it's interesting. Some advisors get a lot of phone calls. Hey, what's happening in the market? Blah, blah, blah. But if you do enough planning and you give enough information, those calls will start to be minimized, because clients know, hey, I know what's going on. You know, we're covered. So, you know, at the end of the day, it's pretty exciting when, you know, you have someone come in, they tell you what they want to create, and then you're like, all right, well, let's build those assets so you can create that. Let's see what happens. And then over the years, you get to see it come into the reality. You're like, whoa, excellent. What's next?
I love what you just said right there, Joshua, about you know, essentially, and these are some of the things that we encourage, and our enlightened advisors, if you will, understand. Number one, you're in the relationship business. You've heard me say that many times over, and it's a relationship war. It's a battle that's waged day in and day out, right? So what's going to really help to differentiate you, and you're doing a lot of those things. The other part that I love that you said is that your clients, it sounds like to me, they buy into you, not from you. They're buying into whatever it is that you're doing for them, right? So they're not buying from you, they're buying in you. And that is one of those huge things that help, you know, when you got the inflation going crazy, you got the volatility going on in the markets like we're seeing right now. I mean, it's always the unknown, right? That's the markets. That's the centerpiece is right. And you know, it's it always makes me think of that one part in the movie with the, you know, Wolf of Wall Street, right? Where it's like Fanuzzi, Fugazi, you know, we don't know what
yeah.
Anyway, but that's the thing. You've got a process with your clients that it sounds like you take them through this. So they're really buying into what it is that you're trying to accomplish. Big picture, you know, not like an overnight success type of thing. This is going to be an ongoing refinement of a process that you're taking them through. And I love what you were saying there.
Like if you're riding a one-trick pony, right? If they just sell stocks, bonds, and mutual funds, what do you think you're going to walk out of there with? Baker's Bake, Surgeon's Cut. It's whatever they got in their toolkit. And I've seen this, and I've been in a lot of industries. When I was in the mortgage industry, I was in the industry for 2 years before I figured it out. Imagine somebody just getting a home loan once or twice in their life. They're not going to figure it out, right? So they could, but they probably won't, statistically. Yeah. So I ended up working at a place where this was back, and now rates are going back up again, but 7% was like super low. Rates have been at 9%. And I had a beautiful client, 800 credit score, perfect. He's ready to go, refi, slam dunk, assets, everything. And he's like, Tim, I can get the loan for 6.875. And so I went into my manager's office and I handed him, I said, dude, look at this. This is a great loan. I wanted to close it. I was new. And he's like, yeah, we'll make it work. I'm like, what do you mean you make it work? Because in the sales meetings, the rate sheet is the rate sheet. Don't question it. Well, I found out they had so much spread in there. It was ridiculous. I could have given the client, because I moved to a new company, and I could have given that client 6.625 rate. I was selling 7%. I'm a good guy, but I was on this 7% pony when I could have been. I was making like not very much, 7%. The company was making everything. And then I if I would have sold 6.625 at this other firm, it would have been way better for my client, and I would have made like double the money. So that I moved. And then I found out, like, for car insurance and stuff like that, property and casualty, it's real. There's the captive agents, we call them. They are captive. They're the one trick pony type thing. And there's nothing wrong with it, I guess, but you know, just if they have a specialty that fits you, then great. If your profile is in their niche, and that's great. But what I found out is there's independents. They might work with 3, 4, 5 different companies. Well, that gives them more choices to give you more choices. But then I found there's independent PNC people that have worked in these conglomerates where they have all of them, and they put your information into a computer, and then it prints them out in order of which company's best to worst. That, as far as pricing goes, right, and coverage. But then the advisor can go through and be like, okay, well, XYZ company's number one. Writing. So I think you noticed, because over at AXA, they tried recruiting me when I was an advisor, like big time. And I had a buddy over there, and he basically just told me the whole inside scoop of all of it. He was there for a year, and he's like, I'm out of here. And he went somewhere else, and nothing wrong with them or whatever, but that was my story and experience. And I hear it from you. So, I guess hope they don't get mad at me, but it is what it is. You got to tell the truth. So anyway, I just wanted to share that because I think it's important for everybody to know. So if you're an advisor and you're not independent, you may want to take a look at that, and don't be afraid of them, handcuffing you with non-competes and all that kind of stuff. There's always a way around that.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And that is a critical point to understand, right? I mean, you want to be able to deliver what households need, right? You don't want to be limited on what that might be, right? I mean, there's nothing wrong, I guess, with the New York Life captive, deal or whatever, if that's how you get involved in that. And that's, but it's kind of tough to be independent and thinking fiduciarily for the best thing for your client if you're limited on what it is that you can actually utilize as far as a tool goes, right? So anyway, I mean, that's why I love independency. I love being able to have access to every single one of the different carriers we use, whether that's life insurance or annuities, and then of course all the different things that we can do with advisors ourselves. So, if you are listening, if you are a potential client for an advisor, go to Joshua first of all, but you definitely want to work with someone who has all of those different disciplines and people and resources that they can tap into that are ultimately going to be for your best interest. Not just the best interest that of the toolbox they got, but the best interest because you have all the access to all the other things that are out there.
Yeah, well said.
Sounds speechless. Everybody's taking notes. I'm taking
goodness, notes. What? Say that again.
No, it's important stuff.
Yeah, it really is. If you can deliver, and this is why I talk all the time about, differentiation, right? Creating what I call professional contrast. And there's a lot of providers out there. There's a lot of minutia out there. It almost becomes, I think, for clients, a white noise almost, right? Because they're just bombarded with all this stuff. And then they're just like, I don't even know who to trust. I don't know what to trust. I don't, so if you can find someone that has the type of mentality like you have, Joshua, I think that's why not only will it be the client acquisition that is beneficial for you, but you'll start getting those introductions to other people like them, and you'll start getting that client retention. And before you know it, generationally, you're going to be working with these because you're a young advisor again. So you're building a practice for the future, right?
Yeah. And it's pretty exciting too, because when you have all the tools, you know how you can help. And I'm going through the same process. I'm building my wealth. I have lots of things that I want to create in my life to help my community in different ways. And so it just really goes, me being able to give all the tools for my clients, help them build the way they want. It's just really exciting to see what, assuming you're talking about, right?
Yeah, just something that stands out that your clients just freaking love it, and it grows every year. What are you guys doing that's knocking it out of the park?
So since our firm, Octavia, we started 2 years ago, and the first year was all about, it was a lot of work. It was in the office a lot. So it took a lot of transitioning, getting clients over. We just had our first appreciation event in San Diego that, was really exciting. And, going forward, it's really great because our firm, our headquarters is in Ohio, Cincinnati. And that's where the larger portion of the advisors and the partners at. San Diego, we have 9 people in the office here, and all of us are right in the same age and really want to grow, and they want to grow in the community. And so it's really exciting, the ideas and the actions that we want to take. And actually, it took a while kind of getting this first event set up, and it went off great. And now it's just building that momentum. So being able to, and the other cool thing with San Diego is we can do so many outdoor events. One of the events that I want to really get my clients to is a health and wealth event. You know, there's so many amazing modalities out there that can help bring energy to yourself so people can take more action on what they want to do. And so, you know, San Diego is a prime location on getting people excited about learning how to have more energy in life so they can create more wealth, so they can have the experiences they want. So, you know, we're just starting out, but, you know, if you have things that worked in the past, Tim, you let me know and we'll put it on our list of things that we're going to create.
Sounds good, my brother.
Yeah.
All right, guys, another great segment. We're going to take another quick break. And when we get back, we're going to ask, or Joshua gets to ask me any question he wants on health. We'll be right back.
You want the absolute best for yourself, and you want it to be easy. That's why we created Green 85. It helps with detoxifying the body gently. We're proud it's chemical-free, unlike almost all other supplements you'll find. Bottom line, Green 85 will get you healthier. We look forward to hearing what Green 85 did for you.
To get this product and our other amazing products, go to chemicalfreebody.com. That's chemicalfreebody.com.
What's up, Enrichers? Tim James here. I'm back with my co-host, Carter Wilcoxon. Again, today in the house, we've got Joshua Aldus. Joshua, this is the time when we get to flip the script and we do the health segment. So what questions do you have for me, brother, about your health, your family's health, public health, anything goes?
Tim, I'm super jazzed about this part because health, I mean, at the end of the day, it's what generates our ability to take action and create new habits. So I get super excited when we talk about modalities. But one question for you is, there's so many different modalities out there to help with your health. So I was wondering what your top 3 tools were for creating better health.
Okay. Well, the first thing is you have to put your health as a priority. That's number one. Fix that damn thing. So the next year your New Year's resolution is, where am I going to go vacation with my family? Or what else am I going to do? Where am I going to, something fun. I mean, it frustrates me because I understand, because I was in that boat. Every year I was gaining weight. Skin issues were popping up, gut issues. I was bleeding rectally. I was a freaking mess 12 years ago. I mean, I'm a whole different, I've completely vibrated out of that whole deal, and I'm a super healthy person, individual again, like I was when I was a kid. So when it comes to, you said the top 3 things, modalities, I think I would rather just share a bigger picture, which is after you do that, after you make your health a priority, you have to have strategies to reduce stress today. You have to. And if you think, oh, I'm not stressed, or I'm a guy, and oh, I'm tough, it's like you got your ego in the way, you're screwed. It is affecting you. This is like biochemical stuff. You've probably heard the story, like, fight or flight mode, when your body releases cortisol and adrenaline and all that stuff, because it's like you're getting chased by a saber-toothed tiger. Well, that stuff is good because you're going to run, and you got to run or fight. It's called fight or flight. There's a reason for that. Chemicals are released to soup you up so you can live. Well, unfortunately, the daily stress of, your home loan not closing on time and your stuff's all packed up in the thing, or, relationship stress or financial stress, or trying to get the kids to soccer practice, or dinner's late, or you're late for an appointment. That stress to the body is the same as that tiger chasing you. So you're releasing all these chemicals, but then you're not fighting or flighting. You're not running. So guess what? Those chemicals turn into toxins inside of your body, and they're destroying your health. Absolutely crushing your health, destroying it, and you can't see it. It's no-see-ums. I think I am almost like the health, I don't know what you call it. It's like, what was that, Paul Revere? I'm like the Paul Revere of the no-see-ums that are killing us in our health. And they're so cool because once you have the awareness of them, you can fix them quickly. So the first thing is you have to have some strategies to reduce stress, which are very simple, like breath work, breath exercises, walking in a park, walking in the forest, going to the beach, playing with kids, holding your grandson, or you're playing with your daughter, just doing things in nature, really important things. Meditation, yoga. These are things that people can do, but they have to be a practice. And it might be weird in the beginning, but the more you do them, the more you get used to it. And then you're actually going to be drawn to it because it becomes a good addiction, because you toxins and chemicals in the world today. There's just tons of them. You know, we've talked about this before. You haven't probably heard this, Joshua, but have you ever searched these 3 words on the internet? Umbilical cord chemical. Have you ever looked for those 3 words? Umbilical cord chemical.
No.
When you get done with this, check it out. It's quite frightening. So what you're going to find is these studies that I found that are going back to 2005, where researchers, scientists, and doctors have looked in the umbilical cord blood of young babies and young mothers, supposedly the healthiest of all of us, and they're finding, they look for 400 toxic chemicals that destroy human health, and they're finding 250 of what they look for. It's about 71%. Now, that's terrible, but 180 of them cause cancer in humans. 212 cause developmental and brain disorders, and there's literally 100,000 toxins out there. So if we extrapolate that out, 71%, there's a potential of about 71,000 toxins in our body. This is drinking out of plastic bottles. This is automobile exhaust. This is rubber compounds coming off of tires. This is, fire retardants that they spray on your Samsung TV for some reason, right? If you're wearing synthetic clothing, if it's not natural fibers, it's off-gassing as long as you're wearing them, they're off-gassing these estrogen-mimicking chemicals into your body that disrupt things and cause things like breast cancer. They lead to prostate issues, ovarian cyst, uterine cyst, man boobs. Yeah, sign me up for that one, right? Just drinking out of freaking plastic, or if you're wearing plastic, same thing. So if you're wearing nylon or microfibers, lycra, these types of things, they're polluting you. So our whole society is wrapped up in this stuff, and we can't see it. I mean, 74% of the rainwater today has glyphosate in it, which is the main ingredient in Roundup, the herbicide. And it's loaded with heavy metals because it's a heavy metal binder. It was actually used to be created to clean out that Roundup stuff was originally created, glyphosate, to clean out industrial metal tanks, to clean the tanks on the inside. So it binds to metal. So when you spray it on crops and stuff, it binds to all the toxic metals in the ground and concentrates them, and it gets in the rainwater and it gets into the plants. So we're polluting ourselves. So toxic chemicals people have to have an awareness around them. You have to have protocols in place to chelate them, get them out of the body. Stop putting them in and and have programs to get them out. Like, that's what we do. That's what I do all day long. That's all I do. All day long is talk about, like, our company, Chemical Free Body, is all about that. Number 3 is now you have to get reconnected with nature. And the first place to do it is with what you're drinking and what you're eating, what you're breathing. So you have to think about air quality. Are you cracking your windows at night? Do you have an air purification system today? Everybody should. Everybody should have air purification systems in their homes. That's just the world we live in. San Diego, the air's kind of polluted down there, ain't it? Your throat, and they go into your digestive tract and into the blood, and then they bioaccumulate. This is why a lot of people have cysts forming in their bodies and tumors, because it's the body's own protective mechanism encapsulating these toxins to try to save them, right? So you want to eat healthy foods. You want to plug back into nature. This is like eating sprouts, fresh fruits, herbs, growing your own garden, going to your local farmers markets, having your produce manager bring in fresh foods and sprouts and organic, these types of things, right? So you want clean air, clean water. You got to purify your water, clean food, fresh food, clean, fresh food. And then, the list can go on. And then you can start thinking about the bed you sleep in, right? The quality of the mattress, is do you have carpet in your house? It's all about the environment. You should get it out of there. It's releasing formaldehyde and embalming you, just as an example. So unless you're having like real, natural fiber wool carpets or something like that, but then carpets are gross anyway. So overview, health priority number 1. Once you have that, focus on reducing stress. Number 2, getting the toxic chemicals and cleaning up your gut, because your average person's got about 6 to 12 pounds of impacted fecal material in the gut. Like, literally, I've seen it over and over again. And then number 3 is plugging back into nature, clean, fresh air, clean, fresh water, clean, fresh food. Be careful of, the clothing you're wearing, obviously, and the cosmetics and the shampoos and the deodorants and the toothpaste, because most of them are have chemicals and toxins in them today. It's just where we're at. But they're approved by these, these agencies. Oh, it's got their stamp on the. It's got their stamp right on the toothpaste, but then you flip it over and it says harmful if swallowed. Please contact the Poison Control Center. But it's approved by the blah, 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 blah association, right?
Yeah.
Oh, well, great, but it's poison. So, bringing that white elephant, shining the light on things is kind of like what I feel my job is in life, is to do that and get people to just pause for a moment and go, oh, yeah, maybe I should think twice about putting harmful if swallowed, please contact the Poison Control Center toothpaste in my mouth. And it's just as easy as this. You go buy something that's healthy, or you make your own. I mean, you can make your own toothpaste with like raw coconut oil, some essential oil, and maybe a little baking soda. Stir it up, and boom, you get.
It's brushed over as much. Like the first thing you said that stuck out was breath work. And I don't know if you've ever listened to Andrew Huberman before. He's up at Stanford, and he's got this great podcast. And all he does is talk about the mechanisms of certain things that are on your body. He does a great job talking about how breath work, when done correctly in different techniques, can just flip-flop your nervous system. And when I heard that, I was like, what? And I think about my job all the time. I mean, dealing with money, talk about stress, talk about being in your sympathetic nervous system, like, oh, what's happening? And how for me, it's been one of the tools that I've added into my morning routine that's changed everything. And, it's something that I think it doesn't go, it's not talked about enough, is that we can simply do a different breathing technique and change ourselves from the sympathetic right to the parasympathetic, just like you said, right to rest and digest, and allow our bodies to not get in that fight or flight and to stay there. And so I love how you talked about that, and that's one of your tools, because that's definitely one of my favorites. I was a personal trainer while I was going to college, and during that time, I thought I knew all the health stuff. I was like,
whey protein,
my clients, do this, do that,
chicken breast, broccoli, rice.
Yeah. And I was like, after I got done and I learned about this, I'm like, oh, wow, this is like a cheat code to energy level. And it's been very life-changing over the last 2 years of how I changed my fitness. I went from lifting to, I did an Ironman in 2019, nasal breathing the whole time. There's this book, Oxygen Advantage, that just talks about it. And it's just like, something so
cross-country runners know about that nasal breathing stuff.
Yeah.
That's good, dude. Yeah, it's legit. Are you using the breathing during the day in between stuff if you feel a little stress?
Always. I'm at my desk, and I can drop it down immediately. And so it's just such a simple tool that you can use anytime. So I love that you brought that
free.
Up. That's one of my favorite ones.
It's free. It doesn't cost anything.
Completely
They should be teaching that in public schools. The kids should do meditation and breath work in the morning, maybe do it after they eat lunch, settle them down after lunch and PE, then they do their meditation. They do it one more time before they go home. That would be a powerful therapy.
That would change our whole future. If kids knew how to regulate what nervous system they're in just by breathing, just do this. And then you don't have to feel this anxiety. You can direct your energy more rather than being controlled.
Yeah,
so
we could also have massive greenhouses, and the kids could be indoor gardening in the winter and outside and making their own food and being part of it and taking shifts. It's like, okay, I'm in the kitchen this week, and and there's just so many things that could be changed.
Tim, you're reading my mind. It's one of my dreams in San Diego is a nonprofit teaches kids what foods to grow that's best for their body, and then teaches them about the tools that are already inside their body, like breathing and stretching.
Like a Big Mac tree. You're gonna make some donut bushes.
Some donuts.
Yeah, they got it's really sad. You go into a lot of high schools and stuff, and they have vending machines full of high fructose corn syrup laden, which is full of glyphosate, by the way, pops and crappy wheat products, and then they can get Taco Bell or McDonald's in the school, like it's like every day, and it's like childhood obesity is exploding, and it's like how can an adult like not figure that out, that it's like you shouldn't eat that stuff? I mean, literally, if you wanted to eat at Taco Bell, it should be like $80 for a taco, because it's hey, if you want to harm yourself, because the bottom line is that we're all paying for it. We all pay for it. When people are sick, or like the movie said, fat, sick, and nearly dead, like insurance rates go through the roof. Right, it's very expensive, and taking care of somebody's chronic issues. And then when you actually mix wheat, which is a starchy carb, with the chicken protein, it's improper food combining. It creates fermentation in the gut, and you have gut rot, and you're actually destroying your intestinal villi, which are those hair-like structures that are like creating peristaltic action, moving food through you, pulling nutrients into the intestinal lining to get into the blood. Hopefully that'll get into your cells. And it's just like all day long. I actually teach a class called Proper Food Combining. And it's actually, I don't know what it was. It's one of our first episodes of my show. And then I have class notes that people can follow along with it. It's a very powerful class because once people understand that, it's a game changer for gut health. It's just a huge foundational pillar, just understanding which combinations of foods to avoid and which ones work better through the digestive process. So anyway, man, great questions today. I'm glad that you're into fitness. You came out of the personal training fog.
Yeah, I know. It is kind of a fog, you know. You're like, whoa.
Yeah, because you just kind of go along with everybody else, and you're like, oh, I got to do this. But what people don't understand is in that fitness training world, a lot of them that compete and stuff and then follow those things, they might look good for one day, but then as soon as that day, and they were not going to tell you, but they're about ready to pass out on stage. And then afterwards, they eat a bunch of burgers and balloon back up again, right? So that happens quite often. To me, that's not health. To me, you should be able to hop onto that stage any day of the year. That's health. If you have that going on, you have good mental clarity, you wake up, you feel good, you've got great energy all day until it's time to go to bed, and and your brain's working and your gut's working and your poop's working and all that stuff's going good. That's healthy. That's healthy. Not the illusion of health, true health.
Yeah.
All right, Carter, that's it, brother.
What? I was waiting for some more.
Carter, me and Tim could probably chat for hours. So
I know. I'm really looking forward to some chats on the golf course for sure. So, hey, Enrichers, thank you so much for joining us for another episode of the Health and Wealth Podcast, and to be able to see all of our previous fantastic guests like Joshua Aldus of Octavia Wealth Advisors there in San Diego. You can go to our website at www.thehealthandwealthpodcastshow.com and make sure to like, share, and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts, Apple, Spotify, or Google Podcasts. So for my fantastic co-host, Mr. Chemical Free Body himself, Tim James, I am Carter Wilcoxon, CEO and founder of CSI Financial Group and co-founder of Epic Services Company. Thanking you for your time today. Joshua, I just want to say thank you so much for coming on, sharing your backstory with our Enrichers. It was just great having you on the show today. So thank you so much.
Thanks, brother, for coming on again. Appreciate your service. And
that was a dig. That was a dig, and I loved it. Joshua, thank you so much. We really do appreciate it and everything. And I hopefully our Enrichers. And yes, thank you for your service as well. And I appreciate Tim acknowledging that on the show today. So thank you again for coming on and sharing your entire backstory, and looking forward to the future and seeing how things turn out for you as you continue growing your practice out there in San Diego.
Oh, it's going to be wonderful. If you guys are here, stop by.
We definitely will. Hey, Enrichers, thanks again. And until next time, we will see you on the Health and Wealth Podcast Show. Thank you, everybody. Hey, Enrichers, thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Health and Wealth Podcast. I'm your host, Carter Wilcoxon.
And I'm your host, Tim James. And by God, we are committed to helping you guys have fat wallets, flat bellies. So tune in again for another episode, and make sure to like, share, and drink a lot of water.
Or beer.
You have just listened to the Health and Wealth Podcast with Carter and Tim.